Jerry and Rye, what's up, Jerry?
Well, I'll tell you, I really appreciated John Mara taking, the heat. He signed off on, the Eli Manning thing. And then the other thing is, what I really appreciate was, and I think kind of interesting, is how he's looking to Ernie Accorsi. It's kind of funny because Accorsi stood there, back years ago, making that deal with San Diego and bringing Manning in.
He did.
And
he also, to his credit, lived with Coughlin. Even though he desperately didn't want Coughlin to be his head coach, and didn't make too big a fuss when the Giants wanted him to be the head coach, when Wellington wanted him, because Ernie was diametrically opposed to Tom being the head coach, viciously opposed, wanted anybody except Tom Coughlin. So from that standpoint, you give Ernie credit for that, being flexible with that.
Well, I also give a lot of credit to the Maras because they, everybody was saying the coaches, the McAdoo took the decision, and he did it, and Jerry Reese. And what I appreciate was the honesty, the fact that the Maras also are great owners, and also what's great about the Giants is they show class.
Well, the thing about it is, listen, they made a mistake. They fixed it, or they started on the road to fix it. And more importantly, I really try to let him tell you something that I've always believed in, and that is they care how they finish the season every year. They're never going to tank games. They want to beat these division opponents. They want to win these games. And if Spags could win these 4 games, that would go a long way towards him having a chance to be the head coach. I mean, that's what he needs. Because let's be honest, his resume is not the greatest. He needs to have this team really respond for him. And I don't know if they're capable of doing it right now or not. But you just heard John say he'd rather win than sit Eli Manning. So if that's the case, put Eli Manning back in and try and win the games. Vinny in Brooklyn, what's up, Vinny?
Hey, Mike, how are you?
Good, what's up?
I'm just wondering if you could see Phil Simms in the role as general manager.
No, I don't think he's a general manager.
No? I don't know if he's looking to get back or not.
No, I don't think he wants to be a general manager. And listen, I don't see him wanting to put in that time. I mean, I shouldn't speak for him, but I've never heard that he'd be interested in something like that. I don't think that's the case. Eddie in Rockland County, what's up, Eddie?
Hey, Mike, it's good to see Mara stand up. His father would be proud of him today, huh? Fell on the sword for, took it for the team.
He did what he was supposed to do as owner. He made the decisions he had to make.
Yeah, well, it was getting hot, and I didn't think they were gonna. The job was gonna come back to New York for them, for the both of them. I said it the week before. But my thing, whatever happened to Kevin Gilbride? Why did he just get so jumped over?
Well, listen, he was never going to be the head coach. So I mean, they moved in a different direction. They brought McAdoo in, and then he wound up being the head coach. Sean in Massapequa, what's up, Sean?
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
Good, what's up?
I'm absolutely ecstatic today over Ben McAdoo finally being fired, that cancer being gone from the locker room. But I want to shift the focus more towards Steve Spagnuolo because I think that's very interesting now. Because he'll play out the rest of the year. We know how that's going to go. He's not going to do very well. And listening to you talking to John Mara, he will be considered, it seemed like, out of respect was the vibe I've got. But traditionally, interim head coaches aren't.
Not only that, he doesn't have a great resume. He was not a good head coach, and the team hasn't performed well this year, and he's been the defensive coordinator of the defense. They haven't done well.
Right. But, since Eli Apple was benched about a month ago, there has been drastic improvement. And since he joined, I believe it was 2 or 3 years ago, the defense went from bottom of the league to top. So what I'm wondering, is that enough to get him another opportunity?
I don't think so. I tell you right now, I think it would be, he'd have to really pull a rabbit out of his hat to be the head coach. I really would be surprised if he were the head coach. I really would. And I have nothing against Spags. He's a nice guy. I just think his resume is not the greatest. Ricky in Princeton. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, Mike. How are you?
Good.
Listen, I've been listening to this for the afternoon, and I'm happy that we made a change. Based on where the Giants are right now, there's a good chance we're going to either get a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. And I think the best guy we could bring in here would be John Gruden. And I think you got we don't know what this Graf guy is. I don't know what
I would be absolutely stunned. I would be more than stunned because he's not a Giant-type head coach.
I know, but maybe this is the time that we break from what we usually do.
I don't see it.
I mean, he's a quarterback guy.
I don't see John coming back to coach anymore.
But you know what he did say, Mike? He did say, I would be open for the right situation.
I think John just likes being asked. I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm not giving you. Listen.
I mean, do you think though? If you got Graf there, right? We don't know what he can play. He obviously is not ready to play. But wouldn't it be something maybe to think about?
Listen. I don't see Gruden being a Giant. I just don't. I mean, that to me is like completely polar opposites. First of all, I think Gruden's found a home for himself. I don't think he wants to coach. I think he likes being asked to keep his name in the mix, but I don't think he wants to be a head coach. I really don't. And I don't see the Giant. I don't think he's the Giant type of head coach. Vinny in Brooklyn, what's up, Vinny?
Hey, Mike, what's going on?
What's happening?
Mike, I have a question for you. I would love to know, with the Giants' number 1 pick, if would you do this trade? Would you trade that pick for maybe Andrew Luck or Kirk Cousins?
I would trade for Luck in an absolute tenth of a second, but I don't think the Colts will trade him. But if they would, I would be first on line to make that trade right now. Any trade they want for Luck, I would do. Jim in Manhattan, what's up, Jim?
Hey, Mike, have you ever had the chance to talk to Eric DeCosta down in Baltimore?
Don't know him, no. I mean, I know who he is. I don't know him, though.
Oh, I think he'd be phenomenal. I mean, he's all about stability. He's all about defense. If there's a short list out there, I think he should be at the top.
Listen, there'll be a lot of guys there. Again, Ernie's going to be obviously a big part of this. Chris Mara will be a big part of this. Chris, you just heard him say doesn't want to be part of the job. Doesn't want to get the job. Frank in Chester, New York. What's up, Frank?
Hey, Mike. How you doing?
Good.
First of all, Merry Christmas to you and your family, and good luck.
Thank you.
With McAdoo out, how do you feel about Joe Girardi being the next head coach? I'll hang up and listen.
Chris in Riverdale. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Mike. Couple days have passed. Still very angry about Eli. I'm looking forward to that interview later. I'm happy that Ernie's heading this up, and I'm sad that this played out like it did, but I'm glad it's happened. But what do you think about Gettleman? I'm concerned about him because he seems like he has communication issues.
I mean, why are you picking him?
Well, he's one of the guys that I mentioned. I mean, I would like Pioli or someone like that.
Well, listen, I think you'll hear all these guys' names mentioned. Doesn't mean they're automatically just because they have a relationship to the franchise. That's why, because he was here before. That's the reason why. Joey in Patterson, what's up, Joey? Go ahead, Joey. Joey going once? No. Andy, go ahead, Andy. What's up?
Hey, Mike. I'm not going to get into sappy crap, but congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
How do you feel about possibly bringing back a familiar name to New York Giants? He's a special teams coach, Fossil, from the Los Angeles Rams.
He'd want to bring back Fossil's kid? Is that what he was saying? Fossil's kid? Listen, he's a good special teams coach. I don't think he's ready to be a head coach. I don't see him being the head coach of the team. I just don't think he'll be the guy. Joey in Patterson, what's up, Joey?
Yeah, Mike, I'm going to miss you, man. You're the best
Thank you.
ever
What's
at
up?
this. I wish you the best.
Thank
Real
you.
quick, the cancer on the Giants for the past few years, the fans see it. They see it when he was hitting the net on the sideline. The Urination Act is Odell Beckham Jr. If you were the new GM or even the head coach, are you keeping him or are you saying, hey,
I'm keeping him.
this job, but he's got to go?
I'm keeping him, but I'm telling you this. The days of him running the franchise are over, okay? That's it. I'm telling my coach that. I'm telling everybody that. Beckham gets in line. I'm telling Beckham, too. You want to get paid here. You want to be a Giant for life. Fine. It's time for you to grow up. We love you as a player. We know how talented you are. We know how great you can be. Let's be great together, but it's time to grow up. Doug in Smithtown. What's up, Doug?
Hey, Mike. Just one question. Obviously, long-time listener, and congratulations.
Thank you. What's up?
And just about one question and one topic that hasn't been discussed for 3 or 4 years. You know, you've said many times that nothing goes on there without Mara's approval and stamp. And you know, they force out Gilbride, you know, in an unseemly fashion. They get rid of Coughlin in an abysmal way. And bring in McAdoo. I mean, McAdoo had no. You mentioned resume today. I mean, McAdoo started in '98, never played the game. Quality control coach, tight end coach.
Guy was the coordinator for the team for 2 years before he became the head coach. I mean, he was the coordinator for 2 years, Doug. He had a quality background, and he won 11 games his first year. The guy didn't do a terrible job his first year there. He did a nice job. He definitely had the ability to be the head coach. He had been a coordinator on the team. All right. Now, as far as the guys getting forced out, Tom Coughlin, in my mind, did not get forced out. He lost 3 years in a row. If he had won and got bounced out, you would say he got forced out. He lost 3 years in a row. That's the bottom line. Bob and Summit, what's up, Bob?
Coughlin didn't get forced out. The team is 11 games under 500 since they won their last Super Bowl. People have to recognize this. Coughlin was not forced out. But, Mike, I'll tell you the one thing I learned from listening to his press conference and your follow-up interview, and it's stating the obvious, but it really, really drives home what the Maras are about. They do not want to be embarrassed. They do not want to be embarrassed. They can handle losing. But once this turned into a social media and talk show fiasco, you could hear him coming unglued on those questions.
No question. You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
Cannot, and this is what happens, and I mean this as a lifelong Giant fan and season ticket holder. This is what happens when your owner is a third-generation owner. This is their blood. This is in their blood. This is, whatever. The franchise is worth $4.5 billion. We get it. But this is their blood. And it just gives me great confidence that this might be the low point. And you know what? Hopefully we're laughing about this in a year and a half. And he said it a million times. They were 11-5 last year. He is so blown away. And
listen, I was there in August. They thought they were going to be tremendous. They were more confident this year in August. Chris was there with me that day. Mons was off. They were almost cocky. We were talking about it. I don't remember being out there another year in the recent past, and I've been there every year, where I saw them as confident to a person as they were about this team. They loved the people. They loved Ingram at the tight end spot. They thought they had brought in tremendous players at wide receiver with what they did with Marshall. They thought Marshall and Beckham were going to be tremendous. Remember this about this team. There were a couple of things that destroyed this team this year. The biggest hit this team took was the hit that Beckham took in preseason. It started the year off with Beckham hurt. It started the year off on the wrong note, and the team never recovered. Absolutely never recovered. And then when the offense made some plays, the game that destroyed this team was the Eagle game. They took the lead in that game 3 times in the fourth quarter and then got beat by a field goal. What was it, 61 yards? Is that what it was? They got beat by this wacko field goal. They got beat 3 times from behind. And if their team had held on to the lead that week, and then in weeks to follow, they 3 times in 3 weeks lost the lead in the fourth quarter. Lost it to the Chargers, lost it to the Bucks. They fell apart. Then the injuries came, and then everything started to unravel, and they wound up where they are now. But you could go back, and if this team wins that Eagle game, it could be a completely different season. That's how small it is. But the Beckham hit in preseason, which started him off on the wrong foot all year, was the biggest thing that hit this team. Back after this.